On our last program, we talked to you about the media blitz by the Treasury Department for redesigning America's currency. And we showed you a number of currencies from around the world and suggested that possibly the new currency would be multicolored, like this one, with called rainbow money, but pastel colors, and a blank space over on one side. As you can see, this one from the Bank of Korea, and this one, a 10-pound note from the Bank of England, this one from Japan, and from Israel. This one is from Israel, this one is from France. You can see all these have blank spots on them. This one from Italy, and this one from Bulgaria. But they all have this little blank spot on one side. It appears that they were all designed by the same group of artists, controlled by the central banks of the various countries, and each of those central banks are in turn controlled by an international banking cartel. On today's program, we're going to go beyond the currency to the next step. Here, for example, is one of the smart cards coming up. This one is called the Meta card, and it has a chip right here in one side of the card, which will hold megabytes of information about you. And then beyond that, beyond this technology, is, I guess, the latest, the laser card. You can see how the reflection there, this is the same thing you would see if you were holding up a laser disc. This is optical and digital, and it cannot be affected by magnetic fields or x-rays. This will hold up to 2,000 pages of information on the card holder, including a digitized photograph, digitized thumbprint, digitized signature. And this, I guess, we would think might be the ultimate, except beyond that, there are chips that now can be put, they're embedded in glass, can be put under the skin. We're going to be talking about that on today's Prophecy in the News, the coming mark of the beast. Gary Stearman is here. Gary, this is a fascinating subject. We're moving so fast in that direction.
Technology is in place, JR. Let me see that little card you're holding there. You know, this doesn't look dangerous. In fact, this looks good to me because I can have all my medical records on this single card, and nothing will get lost. And if I put this card in a machine, put my thumb in a print sensor, it will read my thumbprint and say, yes, this is the person to whom this card belongs. I can carry all this wonderful information with me. It's highly efficient, thief-proof. Why, this looks marvelous to me, JR. This doesn't look evil, does it?
And yet, this technology that is in place today is obviously moving us toward Revelation chapter 13. And I think that's where we ought to take our jumping off place
We
today,
will
Gary.
indeed. Reading the scripture, Revelation 13, and verses 16 and 17. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So this is where we're headed. This little card does not look dangerous. In fact, it looks highly efficient. My personal number would be in here, my social security number, my thumbprint, maybe all my fingerprints, my picture, medical records, my state identification records, my credit records,
and your money.
And my money, by the way.
Your money. Your whole bank account's right there. And every time you stick that card into the machine, you can it will read and write, so that when they deduct 10 cents from your card, the remainder is there. I mean, that will be the bank account. Can you imagine such a thing? Of course, they're going to keep a copy of it in the big computer, right?
Indeed they are. There will be the master computer. And by the way, Beast would be a good name for that master computer. Some have pointed to the computer in Brussels, Belgium, the Eurobank Central, and called it the Beast because it's capable of crunching so much information. But let me just say about this card, this little card, and the equipment that supports it, the readers, the writers, the sensors that can sense your signature, it can sense your thumbprint. All of the equipment is now in use. This card has been used in Sweden as prenatal care record keeping. It's been used in Holland And today it's being used in Holland to track dialysis patients. It's being used in Scotland as a medical history card. Instead of having a great big file full of papers, you've got this little card. It's been used in Houston, Texas to record the immunization records of the citizens of Houston. A vehicle identification card in Portugal. It's being used right now today in Spain to track radiation therapy. It's being used in Spain as a bank card, even as we speak. Now, again, it doesn't look sinister. It looks like a wonderful step forward,
Yes.
and yet in the hands of men who wish to control society. And believe me, there are people who want to control society. This thing is going to grow and grow until it finally becomes what we read about in Revelation 13.
Yes. And this is the kind of card that President Clinton held up when he introduced his health care program. And he said, this is the card, and of course it didn't look like this, it had a different color on it, but it was the same card. And he said, this is the card you will need in order to get medical care. And it will hold all of your medical records. Well, all that sounds very good, except the governor of California said, oh, let's hurry up and put this card out because we want to keep aliens from coming in and getting our welfare money. In other words, the card will be far more than just a health card. It will be a card that is used to identify everyone and control society. So it's more than just a health card. It'll be a bank card. It'll be the ultimate card moving toward the mark of the beast. Now, this isn't the mark of the beast. To me, this is a part of it now. Don't misunderstand me. This is a part of the sinister program toward enslaving all of mankind. But this right here is just the step beyond the money that has the blank space over on one side. This currency will eventually give way to this kind of card, and we don't know how long that will take. It may just be a few years. You know, it was only a few years ago that America's currency was redesigned. Suddenly they're wanting to redesign it again in only 3 years. But this card then will give way to this injector, at least something like this, that will inject under the skin of the right hand or the forehead a little small transponder. And this transponder has, believe it or not, a number on it. And it's so tiny, it's just about the size of a grain of rice. Just a little bit longer, but about the same size. This transponder then can hold the number. And even though this holds 2,000 pages of information, this right here is actually better than the thumbprint.
Yeah.
Because this will register who you are so that you can use this card.
JR, do I look like a marathon runner with my number, my track number on here?
Well, sorta.
Well, not really.
In a way.
This is an actual athletic number card that would be pinned to a uniform. It says here, Dallas White Rock Marathon. It's a marathon runner's card. At the bottom of this, and we'll get the close-up for you on the screen, at the bottom of this is a little transponder, just like the one that JR showed you that could be injected beneath the skin. This was recently used to track marathon runners. And the way it works is that this little tiny transponder with a number in it triggers a machine. So the runner runs past a certain area and he is interrogated electronically. His number is recorded on a machine at his start time. When he comes to the end of the marathon, again, he runs past another machine. The little transponder again transmits his number to the machine and the stop time. So nobody can cheat. There will be no interlopers in this marathon. They're all, because everyone is controlled by the little numerical transponder, shall we say, the number of the race.
Yes.
And the Bible calls it the number of the beast. One day, there's something in the heart of unregenerate man that loves the idea of social controls. And this is a perfect little device to accomplish that.
And this is a part of that.
Yeah, this is a part of it. As a matter of fact, you can insert the transponder into a little pocket in a bracelet and encircle your wrist with it. And then when you run past the recording station, the station interrogates the runner and records his time by his number. So this is a prototype of that which will come into being. The whole system is in place right now. The technology is available. It's being used as we speak.
It's amazing. This is put out by Texas Instruments, by the way, and this shows the runner with the little transponder here and then going through the pickup station.
Absolutely.
And this, of course, transmits a signal to the transponder, activating it, and it in turn transmits back the number. And this is being used, by the way, in animals to track your pets. And of course, it's just one step from inserting it under the skin of an animal to inserting it under the skin of a human being.
As a matter of fact, this injector is marketed under one trade name. It's called InfoPet. It's used in Los Angeles, I understand. They inject the little transponder under the back of Fido's skin, and so that wherever Fido goes, he has a number that can be electronically followed. Well, it's a wonderful idea, really. Think about the humane aspects of being able to engage in animal control. Think about the marvelous efficiency of being able to control people as they get their medical records.
And there's nothing wrong with the technology. The only problem is who's going to be in control and what is it ultimately going to be used for. You see, the technology is out there. And recently we have been introduced to the information superhighway. I guess you've heard that terminology. Some have called it Al Gore's causeway, the Al Gore causeway.
Indeed it is.
But an information superhighway, folks, is more than just information at your fingertips. Fiber optic cables are being laid down the highways of America's freeway system. And this transponder that you saw a picture here that a runner runs through can be put on a much larger basis. And over a freeway, for example, the 3 antennas will pick up a car that goes under that. And new cars are being built this next year with transponders built into them.
That's right.
And so that Big Brother government can keep an eye on you and where you are at any time as you drive down the highways. There's no getting away from them.
And so we have then in the heart of man a desire to control society. And we're reminded of a question, J.R., at least I am, in Psalm 94, in the verse 3. The question is asked, Lord, how long shall the wicked triumph?
Yeah.
We watch all this system going into place. We know prophetically where it's leading, and it looks like they're winning. But we read again a question in Psalm 94, verse 16. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Unless the Lord had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence.
Yeah.
The Lord is going to help those who are the chosen, the called out body, the remnant of believers.
That's right.
In spite of the fact that this juggernaut rolls on, it seems that nothing can stop it. Nevertheless, the Lord will help those whom He has called.
Yeah. It's incredible, Gary, that there are certain wicked people in power today in every country of the world that are moving the world toward this new world order. I've heard it said that the new world order is not just a new world order, but it is global communism. That's frightening, Gary.
It is frightening.
That the real underlying philosophy behind this, the politics behind this new world order is global communism. And what we have seen over the past, for the 75 years or so that Russia was under the oppression of their communist bosses, this is the kind of communism that is going to encircle the world when everybody is tattooed. This is the ultimate tattoo.
And you know, these, if you will, sometimes they've been called international bankers, sometimes they've been called globalists, sometimes conspirators. They've been called by many names. They have many names. But essentially, they are people who want to control money, the ebb and flow of the tides of money in this world, and the ebb and flow of society for their own wicked purposes. And I want to read James chapter 5 in just 2 or 3 verses, because I don't think you can repeat this often enough. Here's a prophecy from James, written to our day. It says, "Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, your garments are moth-eaten. Now here it is, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You've heaped together treasure for the last days." And J.R., the reason they've heaped together treasure is in verse 4. "Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth," or the Lord of hosts. That is the Lord who comes in vengeance. And he's coming in vengeance. Why? He's coming to defeat this system that the rich men have put together for the last days so that they could control lives and money. And you know,
Yes.
they're on their way to doing it. At least they think they're going to be successful.
Now, you've got to understand, folks, that the only way the Antichrist is going to be able to establish a world government is through a world economic system. So what we're showing you today with all of this new technology, the biochip, or the chip inside the card, and the laser technology that is available now in card systems, the optical memory card that holds several megabytes of memory.
By the way,
all of this is certainly moving.
Yeah.
Without this, no Antichrist could arise to power.
Sorry to interrupt, but
That's
as you
okay.
were holding up this card, let me just take it for a moment. This is 1,600 sheets of paper right here.
Yeah. And some articles have said
Yeah.
up to 2,000.
Up to 2,000, along with photos and fingerprints. This is a lot of information here.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Here, for example, is the little transponder. This one is going inside a key, and it's developed by Texas Instruments. It's an identification key. The transponder contains a small antenna, an integrated circuit with an identification code, and a capacitor. Once charged, the transponder sends its identification code back to the frequency reader via an FM signal. And that's what we were showing to you. This is the same transponder that is being used to put under the skin of pets. It's now being put in keys for automobiles. For example, here is the Ford key system that will keep your car from operating unless the right key is placed in there. It keeps someone from tampering with your car and stealing it. And here is the General Motors. I think this is another key system here. And
But
so,
it sounds good. Hey,
Yeah,
you don't want somebody
sure.
to steal your car, do you? It sounds good.
Yeah.
And yet, it has the transponder technology built into it.
right.
And transponder simply means, a transponder, we may be using a word you're not familiar with. A transponder is an electronic device which is interrogated by another electronic device. The master device sends a little wave and interrogates the transponder. The transponder then sends back a number. And
Could be your Social Security number.
sure, and most likely it will be.
Let me show you this one right here. This is a telephone card. It's going to be put out by Sprint. It's a voice-activated phone card, the world's largest application of biometric identification technology. It will identify long-distance calling card holders and speech recognition. Can you imagine such a thing? But here's the kicker. The customers use their Social Security number plus a one-digit secret code. The Social Security number, Gary, is going to be the ultimate number for every person. And you know, when Social Security numbers were first issued, back in the 40s, we were told that that number would never be used by anybody but your Social Security. Hogwash.
Right.
It is being used for everything, including driver's license today. Look at these various driver's licenses from different states around the country. And some of them even have magnetic strips on the back of them, and yet this is called a dumb card. You know, it's got a picture, signature, some even a thumbprint, but this is the smart card.
Yes.
This is leading toward the ultimate enslavement of mankind, the mark in the right hand or in the forehead.
And by the way,
coming.
J.R., Daniel, back in Daniel chapter 7, really laid out the fundamental primary prophecy concerning this coming final, shall we call it, system of control, I guess.
My advice to you is trust in Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. He alone can save you.